Yeah, I can handle that.
I'm going to tell you the most compelling thing on SmackDown, and let me be sure I get all the catchphrases in here, is the anticipation of who Diva Bella will kiss, which superstar in the WWE universe she will kiss, because she won the mistletoe on a pole battle royal, and we can only hope that when she picks that guy to kiss, that then it will trend on Twitter. Now, I want to be sure I got all the catchphrases in. I didn't want to leave anything out.
And don't forget.
Before we get into that, I've got, this is driving me crazy. This Zack Ryder thing is driving me friggin' up the wall. I listen to people take 15 minutes lamenting why Zack Ryder is not on top, why Zack Ryder is not a champion, why he's not getting a title match. Here's the friggin' deal, okay? This is not up for debate. This is the facts of life, okay? Zack Ryder is a goofy gimmick. Zack Ryder is a person I don't know. He's got a good look. He looks like an athlete. Looks like he's a pretty decent worker. This industry has established that goofy gimmicks belong in the lower to mid card, okay? Now, somebody's going to say, people are really behind Zack Ryder. Yes, they are. But he will never draw you 50 cents on top at a pay-per-view in a main event. What he is the underdog, and that's exactly where he belongs. And if you were to put a belt on him, it's like, then there's no reason for all you people to get behind him and all this man love for Zack Ryder. Yes, he sells merchandise. But, I mean, I almost regurgitate with that crap. And after Del Rio beat him after the Monday night after Survivor Series, on all these recap shows, people were wasting all this. Oh, my God. Listen, that was the smartest thing they probably did on that, except for Punk using the words professional wrestling and you are fans and not a universe. That was probably the best thing on that show. Why? Because Del Rio is damaged goods to begin with. You're not going to recapture everything with him to start with. There's just no way. You've given him the title twice for a total of 35 minutes, and then it's been meaningless. But anyway, my point is, if I were the booker and I'm saying, okay, Del Rio just put the belt back on Punk, how do we get a little steam back on him tomorrow night? Okay, we have to have him glom somebody. Who would he glom? Well, how about this guy, Zack Ryder, who all these people are so far behind, he'll get more heat by beating him than he'll get by beating somebody else. So it was the smartest thing to do, and that's who Ryder is, and that's his value to this company. Not as a champion, but as an underdog. End of my rant.
Woo. Yeah, you put him on.
Woo woo to you with a F in front of the woos. Okay.
Is he a guy that because like Santino, I think it was last Raw or 2 Raws ago, Santino was out. I thought they used him great because he was out. He had a shirt on. He was goofy, and he died in like 30 seconds. Fantastic. That's great. I always loved getting behind a colorful guy. I always like colorful preliminary guys, as long as they were preliminary guys, if I thought them that way. Zack Ryder, with the popularity that he sort of has, and again, I think that's somewhat overblown, as far as, because it seems to be that it's maybe a little less than people may believe it is that they just happen to be louder, people screaming his name. Is he a guy you put on Superstars that he wins matches on Superstars, but anytime he's on SmackDown or Raw, he may get a win over a Jimmy Uso or something like that here and there, but then all he's doing is getting beaten? And you build him up as far as like kind of continuing the struggle of trying to get over the hump, or because where are you right now with this? As far as you look at it, as far as this weird thing going on, where you do want to kind of just take the popularity he does have now and utilize it to its fullest, but at the same time,
he can beat some of these undercard guys. Yeah, instead of excuse me, some of these guys that they've had on NXT and stuff, that they want to use on it. Yes, he can get a win over them, but he shouldn't beat anybody of significance. And again, his place is the underdog. It's the guy who just reaches and scratches and claws to get there, but just never quite makes it. And if he makes it, That's basically, for lack of a better example, it's the climax. So you can grab a cigarette and relax. It's over. It's wanting to get him there is what's got everybody behind him. Once, if he gets there, then what is there left to do? He's climbed the mountain.
I don't think anybody remembers.
And you've got a champion. You've got a champion who's got no teeth. Basically, you got a champion who's got no teeth.
Well, none of them do, and none of them will. I take that back. Mark Henry does, but none of these other guys. There's people who are just shocked over why people would like Mark Henry. It's like, I'm sorry, a big scary guy is a timeless thing. The company was built on giants anyway. You can tell stories with a big giant guy where you look for a weakness in him and things like that. But, and I'll take a Mark Henry over a John Cena reign, over another Alberto reign, after a Dolph Ziggler reign, which will come way too early and then be dropped like all the other ones. I mean, outside of Punk, I don't know. They don't have anybody I could actually see holding a world championship. And I'm not saying Mark Henry would be my most ideal choice, but he's the one, to me, as a professional wrestling fan, that makes the most sense.
Well, it's because he's serious about what he's doing. I mean, he's, if there's any comedy to what Mark does, it's because you find it funny, not because he tries to make it funny. I mean, he's deadly serious about where he's going and what he wants to do, and that's part of it too. I was talking to somebody about this. I said, look at it. Here is the problem with our business. Okay, some guy in UFC wins a fight and he jumps up on top of the cage and plays with himself, or throws his fist up in the air, pounds his chest. Okay, that's cool. We know that's real, and the fight's over anyway. Some guy makes a touchdown in the NFL this Sunday, and he does some goofy gyrations, in the end zone. But it's not during the game; it's after it's over, and we know that's real. Or the defensive lineman who gets the sack and comes up, pounding his chest, whatever. You get my point here. Okay. Now everyone knows we're not real, and we should be going the other direction to try to make them think that maybe possibly something here is real. But instead, we get goofier than we're considered to begin with. Does that make sense to you guys, what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it's all right for something that is real to put a little fun, a little posturing, a little clown act, a little, or like Laban throwing the powder into the air. But we overdo that so badly that, okay, who cares? I mean, that's, and that's across the board. That's not any one particular thing.
Something that's always comedic too. With wrestling, MMA, it happens, or in boxing, it happens organically. Ronda Rousey, I don't know if you guys have heard of her. Very pretty, very talented, judo bronze medalist in the Olympics. I mean, very young, but on a Strikeforce show, she basically created a gimmick that she didn't, had no intention on doing it. She has had 7 fights now, 4 professional, 3 amateur. She has won them all by armbar. She has won them all in under a minute, which, so it started this organic thing of like she's got a gimmick. She beats people with an armbar in under a minute. She has Judo Gene LaBelle, God bless him, standing there in a pink shirt with a stopwatch. And yes, they added some sizzle to the steak of her being able to take people's arms home, and then added the sizzle around it. It happened. It's organic. They've taken advantage of it, and that's like all of sports, where it's amazing the lack of fingers on pulses in pro wrestling, where it's like all you have to do is sit there, present the product. Things begin to take care of themselves when you do things correctly. And there's a great example that they want to be entertainment, they want to be this, they want to be that, and it's like there's nothing more real right now at this point than the UFC, who can pull off entertainment, sizzle and the steak.
Well, you know what? I don't know if you guys both get a chance to watch ROH, but and she was right. My friend Missy Hyatt sent me an email. She watched O'Reilly and Richards and said, "Well, they've made you know that the Muay Thai kicks in UFC are just bullshit in the wrestling business, haven't they?" I said, "Yes, they have."
Yeah. Kick pads. Right? Boy. Right? They were cool the first time I saw them in Japan, but I tell you, yeah, the popping of pads and like the fact it doesn't mean anything. I mean, my God, Samoa Joe and Nigel and Danielson and Kabashi obviously wrestled a couple of those guys when he was there. They made it look like it hurt because it hurt, and the ones where it didn't hurt, they made you think it hurt. They didn't walk through anything except for when it was time to, when it was an adrenaline rush, a burst. And that's one of the biggest problems with ROH. So there's a lot of things I like about it, but that stuff that drives me nuts even more than the flippy do stuff, because it's like I can dismiss that as just as what it is. But when you're supposed to actually be laying the hammers down on people, for God's sakes, I mean, has anybody watching ever been in a real fight or ever played a sport? Or, I mean, that drives me nuts more than anything. I mean, you just don't walk through Muay Thai kicks and things like that or trade them back and forth. It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, when a guy is sitting on his knees in the middle of the ring and this other guy comes off the ropes and throws that one kick that just takes him, puts him back, and then he comes bouncing up and does two high spots. When you've seen that one kick in the UFC cage, that's ended the match.
Yeah.
It's just, and the point is, it's what the artist, and I will include myself in this business, teach. Less is more. The right thing at the right time has more impact than all that, stuff put together. It's like what would I have seen better out of O'Reilly and Richards? What I would have seen better is you're telling me they're both in the same camp, so why wouldn't they have felt each other out? Maybe locked up, went to the ropes, got a break a few times, a couple switches, takedowns. I go for the, one of them goes for the leg and the leg's not there. The other guy is out because he sees it coming, because he's telegraphed it, because he's trained with this guy. He's worked out with him every day. That's the story that you give the announcers to tell. And somebody's got to think of that. I mean, I don't consider myself tremendously brilliant, but I mean, I sit sometimes and think, my God, am I the only sane person, that watches this, that thinks about these things? Real quick, and it's not an endorsement or anything, but Kayfabe Commentaries has got another new guest booker thing out with Terry Taylor, and a couple quick things. It's good. And any independent guys listening to this, whether you're a wrestler, a booker, a promoter, or if you're intending to be any of the above, get the two Kevin Sullivans, the Jerry Jarrett, the Gary Hart, the J.J. Dillon, and this Terry Taylor, and watch them over and over and over and over, and listen to them and pay attention, not just watch them for entertainment value. But one of the things, a couple things on what Terry, on the back cover of this, the case that the DVD, the CD comes in, is Terry holding a blackboard. It says, "Think, shoot, but work," and that's what they're not doing. They're just working. And they don't think of it as a shoot as such. And another telling thing that he mentioned, that when he was first trying to be assistant booker with Kevin in Atlanta, and he came to, one of the things that Kevin told him, he said, if you book a match and you can't book the finish and you can't book the return, then don't book the match. And that's another thing. They just throw warm bodies in there with no idea of where that's going to go, or will it go any place, or are they even compatible?
Hornswoggle winning a battle royal on SmackDown.
There you go.
Let's switch gears just a little bit. Mike, give us a little